G'day Brian, Aaron Crees. Yeah, just in answer to your YouTube, Jobman does have much of that functionality and much more. So I'll just try and answer that. Might not be a super smooth demo, but first of all, we've got our products here. So this can be a full list of your Cabinet Vision library. We've got the ability to import your Cabinet Vision library as a CSV. You can edit it before you bring it in, but you just go basic import CVC from Cabinet Vision. You can overwrite it, but basically you're just looking for your Cabinet Vision library and you can click upload. And of course you can just keep bringing in libraries or different CVCs as required. Now, once you've got those assemblies in here, we can actually click on cabinets, and we've got the search feature down here for a B2, for example. So here's a base 2-door cabinet, and here we can set up times for manufacturing for this cabinet. Okay, so these minutes will populate the whole job, and when the quote is accepted, that will actually turn into a job. So there's that feature. Then there's also the ability to assign hardware items. Now we're just in the middle of putting another tab just here, and that's for generic hardware items like hinges, drawer runners, handles, so forth and so on. The difference here is it will quantify at the end of the quote the amount of those items required, so that we can just assign an availability chart item to that and it will populate it. Okay. Also in this product, we've got the ability to select matrix or unit prices for this cabinet, and then we can define what matrices are available. So I'm going to actually go into this and show you how this applies. So we've got our matrices that we can apply to this product. So being a base 2 cabinet, it does have doors, and yes, we're going to price with the base melamine cabinet calculator that we've built in Excel and populated a matrix with. So we've got that. But once we've got this complete library there, we can also export it to a CSV, which will look like this, and that will give us a heap of items in an Excel sheet that I can just show you. Okay, here we go. So straight away, there's our product ID, which is generated by Jobman on its import, so we can refer to it. Here's our cabinet name, height, width, depth, weight fields. They just came in because we asked them to, and a price if it's been set in Jobman. That's just a cabinet price, but we can also calculate the added hardware onto those items as well, and we're going to put in tooltips to show those hardware items. But then we can also say, okay, this is the library that we're imported in, but then we can say which matrices the IDs are these using. So you can basically drag and drop those, and also the product type, product matrix, whether it's price with a unit price or a matrix, and matrix ID name. And then we can go into say whether it's a door or a cabinet. So obviously if it's just a door cabinet, that's it. If it's a panel, it's looking at that style type, so it can pull that information through. And then over here we can see all the other information required for that cabinet. So these are all the minutes that we've assigned. We can go through and assign everything else, but I normally just look at the constraints of a factory and the variables. So the variables are normally, the minutes for drafting, the minutes for cutting, the minutes for edging, the minutes for assembly and installation, so forth and so on. But that's all defined in Jobman. So it's not just an ordering system, it's a complete end-to-end system, because once we've done the quote, we can also then turn it into an invoice, and those accepted quotes can also populate the raw materials ready for purchase ordering or deducting from stock. So yeah, it's a whole lot more than just a quoting system. Sorry, I didn't mean to show you that last screen. That was just something I had up in Excel before. So then what we've got here, so I'll just quickly take you through the back end and show you the systems that we've got and how we arrive at the quote. So first of all, we define our style types. So they can be doors, cabinets, panels, tops, whatever. These will automatically populate on the quote. So we can see those at the top and we can change it on the fly. So then we go into our styles, and these styles are basically items that apply to the style type, and we can have availability chart items where we can set the rate and also put a percentage mark up here, and a sort item is just how it displays in the listing there. Okay, so we've got that type of a style, and then we can have things like a cabinet, so that's also looking at that. So once we've got all the styles set up, pretty straightforward. You can add more styles if you want. You're in total control. Then we can go to what we call price. Well, it's price matrices, but I'll show you what we've done even in the build up to the price matrices, and that's develop the price matrix axes. So we can develop our own price point settings here. Okay, so we can say, you know, what are our price break points? Okay, and that's just each column. So this one is obviously the one going across the top, and we just say whatever class it is. Save, and then we got the door height. Okay, and they're the price break. So I'll just pull up that matrix that we've made out of those two axes. So we go to the price matrices. Here's a door, and right now there's all the price breaks that we've got across the top, and there's the price breaks in the height. Now I can export that to a CSV, populate this square meters, and these square meters are looking up the styles that we've previously entered. And we can pick which styles this door can apply itself to. Okay, so that way we can also select it from the quote. So far so good. Okay, we can also say what the rate type is, whether it's a unit or the area. Okay, so switching over these will change what this is over here, area or a unit price that looks at that times that, and we can actually define what price it is, not just say it is a square meter rate that we're looking at. Okay, I don't need to go into that, but once we've done that, then we can also define other matrices like what we've done up here. So that's sort of just picking and becoming an override for the styles. Okay, so we click save to that. So once we've got all that there, that's where we're going into the assembly items, and we can just go and assign how we're going to price this cabinet and which price matrix are they using. Okay, so we're saying straight door and the base cabinets because that's the type of cabinet it is, and then we've got our style types, so door and cabinet. Okay, and if it was a panel, okay, it would say panel. Okay, click save. So now onto the quote. So where before you go and enter the client's details, we've got the same thing here. Basically you enter the details like what we've just done here. So we'll go into, let's say it's a builder, so it's a repeat client. This, even though it's browser-based software, this is installed on the client server. Okay, so they're getting the whole service on their site. If they wanted their customers to access to that, they could basically set that client up as a salesperson, and that way they could only see the sales that they enter into Jobman. Okay, so that's already part of Jobman. So you'd still be giving them the username, password, and access to your website, but then they could go and create their own quotes for their company, not see anybody else's quotes, and that way the quote is done with your pricing already in there. So it is a good feature, and you can limit their access on what they can, you know, the actual jobs that they've assigned to themselves. They can't see anybody else's. Also on this, we can set up product type discounts, and this will allow us to say, okay, we're going to set up for this client an assembly, and because they buy lots of assembly, we might give them a 5% discount just on assembly items. So that will automatically apply the discount for that client. Yeah, so I won't go too much into a Jobman demo, but Once we've established that, we can create a lead, and the lead is showing all the information, a part of which is going to be the quoting, which I'm only going to concentrate on this. So we can say it might be a residential owner or a residential builder. So we can refer to this client however we want, and we can say it's for a kitchen and laundry quote. So we can click save. That disappears. Okay, you're going to see a lot of other tabs here that are other than just a quoting system, like invoicing, because it links with their accounting software and so forth and so on. But here's the quoting tab, so we can jump straight in and we can start creating a quote. So in here, we can quote items on the fly, so we can go add new items and just put a heading in there and add another item there, and we can click products, okay, and just go in there, and once it's a product we can sort from our library, okay, so forth, and that's getting its pricing from there. Or we can go and define the way this quote is going to be done. So we can go in and say, yeah, the doors are going to be pre-finished board standard, and the cabinets are going to be white melamine, and the panels are going to be also pre-finished board standard, and let's go and grab a quote preset. Now we can create a quote from as many quote presets as we like. So here we've got one I've just done before, matrix products, okay? So this is designed with a heap of products that I've already got built into the system, and it's just populated all those items straight away. So as you can see there, it's picked up the door. Now I can change this door pre-finished board right from the word go. I can pick gloss and it just changed the gloss. I can change the white melamine to something else, and there it is there. So we can change everything on the fly. We can also go in and change one door and say that's a painted just on that door, and this base drawer, this open cabinet is, you know, a gloss cabinet, or this wine rack is, you know, something else altogether. And if we change the top here, it's not going to change anything else in there. So let's go and pick something altogether on the doors, and see this one here, it keeps the override that we've put on there. Same too with the cabinets and so forth and so on. Okay, obviously the panels that we've got down here, we'll bring in the panels. So I haven't activated the panels on, so I'll just go and activate the panels. So down here we've got one called panel, and there it is there. So we can just drag the panel into something that, so we can see it, and there are the panels being activated on the panel. So the cabinets themselves, or the products, are smart to the options that were selected for that product type. So it's all very clear. Now what you were showing me before with the height, width and depth and all that sort of jazz, we can activate all that. So because we've got the import and export ORD files down the bottom there, we can create a quote from Cabinet Vision, or we can export it to Cabinet Vision for manufacturing, or doing just a an optimization to work out the amount of sheets. So let's go and switch on the depth there, which I was missing before, and we can also switch on classification, which helps us work out how much quoting stuff we've done via a report later on, but I won't do it. Okay, now this is another feature that we've built in. We don't need to look at this, but let's say I've got a item there and I want to put in, 10% discount. We can apply all that sort of stuff right through, overhead percentages and so forth and so on. So let's just switch off the discount. We're not going to do that. And obviously the user can choose what they want to see, how they want to see it. This is only showing the data. We use templates for printing, okay? So anyone can open up this quote and see exactly what was quoted on. We can click on any item here and introduce a product directly underneath it. So there we can just go in there and just write a new note on new item, whatever we want. Okay, and on these items here, I think we can, I don't know if we can do that. Yes, we can add notes straight after the products as well. Okay, we've also incorporated, as we can tab through, it's ready to start typing the new information. Okay, so we can just, keep tabbing through the smart things. So let's say, I want 2 of them, 1 of them, or 10 of them, 1 of them, 1 of them, 4 of them. And let's say this one here This one, the width here, we're getting a price there. So let's say whatever the width or the depth, so let's say that one is 987, okay? So the pricing updates as according to the matrix and the styles and the products and all that sort of stuff. So we've got on the fly command. We can also limit the operation. So if I said this was 6,000 meters, so it's a typo, okay, it's going to zero out the price because nothing exists in that height. But let's say this is 1,500, okay. If it gives us a price, yes, that's the price for that. 10 of those items, buy that, giving our buy price, our profit, and our unit price, and obviously the subtotal for those items that are there. Okay, I'm just going to quickly go through and just fill in some more items there. So I've put it like there, I've put an extra note on it, I've put a little, this is also to include whatever you. Now, the note here, I'm not sure if that's going to go through and populate that cabinet because it's a name of a cabinet, so the ORD feature might not work on this. I'll see. I don't think it will because it's now not something that we know that exists. Keeping in mind that all these items have got products and are going to be calculated onto the quote as well, and so forth and so on. Now we can also come down the bottom here and we can add in other things like, you know, our hardware and labor, okay? So we can pull that in and there they are. So we can add in hardware as random items, so we can put 45 of them. And these items will actually populate the job when we accept the quote. So here we go, and we've got 97 of those handles. Okay, so there's our pricing, everything's there, and we can say, okay, we also want to put in, you know, the quantity of edging, labor that we want. So we might say cut 5, edge 7, 6. Now this can be, like I was saying before, it can be populated onto the products by populating the products, or we can add it in manually ourselves. Okay, either way it will populate the amount of time for that operation to be completed, because Jobman is just more than a quoting system, it's a full manufacturing software. So let's say we're happy with that, we can click save. Okay, there's our quote. We can also duplicate that quote. So let's say they come back and say, oh no, you're pretty close, but we need to, you know, you might have to change the profit, or so you might say, okay, I want to bring the profit down to 22%, and yes, so we're just going to update everything, and there's our new price right down the bottom. We can go in and add a subtotal or a percentage. Let's say we want to bring in a percentage underneath this item, and just for the upper cabinets and the base cabinet, well, let's just say the percentage for the base cabinets there. So I can go in there, I can add a new item there and just go percentage. Okay, and over here I can add in a percentage. I think that's where I need to put it. I think it's that one there, 20%. No, it's not. Buy price 20%. Maybe it's there. That's one of these. No, it's not that one. Yeah, so anyway, I can put that in. I'm just not sure. No. That's where I put the name of it, but yeah, I can put in a percentage and it'll calculate the percentage. I might not have a column required for me to switch it on. Discount percentage, order, quote number. Anyway, I won't worry about that for the moment. Now, how we print this and show this, we can show professional with specs, so we can create as many templates as we like, and that can present however we want in a PDF. So it loads up, it goes off and prints the information that we want to see, how we want to see it. Okay, so I can show it like that, or we can show just headers and subtotals, and the client can design and control all the templates. Okay, so we can also print that. Okay, and that can show that, and it can also include all the job specifications under this. So all these specifications can be, you know, in the template, and like So it just prints off this and all the specifications. All these questions can be chosen to show on the quote or not. So now the part that you're chasing is the export ORD. So I'll just make sure I've got, I can just leave Cabinet Vision open, that's fine. And I can go export ORD. Okay, now that will go off and create the ORD file, and down here in my download, there they are. Oh yeah, so there it is. It did bring through that as a comment, which is really cool. It also carried through all the modifications and all the sizes, and it tells you what was being modified by that. As you know, you can just right click on edit anything and just do what you need to in the section editor. So that's good. And we can go back to the thing, do what we need to do. Then obviously go. So let's say that quote was all good. We go back to Jobman and we can change a quote to status to accepted. Click save. Then we can go to the invoices, go add record, say what we want, a deposit invoice, add 30% of the total there, click add. There's the amount of the unit price, so that's the amount, and we can just we can save that, we can see it there, we can add other percentages, we can print it, there it is, or we can email it directly to the client. Bang, send email, and off it goes.